Hi everyone, this is Roman with Holistic Dog Training, and I really hate these kind of videos, but unfortunately I just have to speak up because it's just going too far. Hi there. I was scrolling on a Facebook page, I was tagged, and there was this devastating event where a dog bit a child. The dog was middle-aged, and out of nowhere, after years of being in a home, the dog attacked the child. And there are multiple posts today and yesterday and the day before. And I usually what I do is, without drawing conclusions, I try to get a feeling what the situation is. So I'm looking into pictures and trying to understand, how the progress is. And usually people who post on Facebook pages also do older posts. And so I try to find out how it escalated. Usually what I see is the dog who being used shock collars, and nobody talks about that because it's not convenient. It's not part of the job to sell you the consequences after you use. But there's a big promise. If you use that tool, that will solve the problem. Now, why do people use shock collars? People use shock collars because somebody tells them it's a better solution. It's way better, faster, quicker, precise. It um, gives the dog a stimulation. The dog is not getting hurt, right? Um, it's actually natural, and they come all with these fancy words to describe what's happening with the dog. It's kind of like somebody tries to sell you insurance. Oh no, it's not insurance, it's an investment. Oh, you're not paying insurance for dying, you're paying insurance for have a better quality of life. It's kind of like packaged in that kind of nice words in there. And most people don't know really. All they want is in that crisis to get help for their dogs. I get it, and I see where people struggling with. I've been there, I've done it. um, People are devastated. The dog suddenly shows a behavior. There is a responsibility to the neighbors. There is a responsibility to the family. We have all these um, problems coming with it, having that responsibility of a dog who suddenly shows a behavior that most people call aggressive. And what are you going to lose your house? Right? And so this fear porn comes in. It's irresponsible for you not to address it immediately, going to the edge of the possibilities. Voila, buy a shock collar. Or the other option would be, it's something your dog is doing over there, how you will be able to reward your dog down the street. How can you call your dog back if he's there and you will yell out the neighborhood to call your dog back? You put your dog in danger. He's going to run over the street. That's another type of fear porn. What nobody talks about, because it's not convenient, doesn't make money out of it, is that behind that industry of shock collars, there is a bigger industry. Who is using shock collars? Hunters. They're going out hunting. They want to call the dog back. Miles away, the dog, you don't even know that you have a dog. You can call him back. That kind of thing. And, having a hunting dog, being naive, going out there, going for hunting, well, you need ammunition. You wouldn't go for hunting if you didn't have a hunting dog. You would just go with a gun, like it's boring. It becomes kind of a lifestyle. You have a gun, you have a dog, you have a gun dog, then you have an e-collar. So you carry all this ammunition on you, plus you have your remote control device that can literally 1 mile or 2 miles, 3 miles, 5 miles, whatever miles they promise you, get your dog back on call. You just push that button and the dog knows exactly what to do. If I'm driving my car and I have somebody sitting in my car, I don't know what he's doing. I'm looking at the mirror. I need to have a visual contact what's happening behind me. I'm not relying on a remote collar. What if the remote collar, what if my dog is dead? I don't know that. What if my battery is empty? I don't know that. I assume it's right. But I'm not going to there to give the benefits of the shock collar right now, because I'm going to show you something that nobody talks about. It's about the lack of relationship with your dog that makes the dog learn about morals and ethics. Now, where does it come in? If your dog has a behavior and he lashes out on something, and you use that shock collar. No, sorry. Did I say the word shock collar? I'm so sorry. I mean stimulation collar, right? So if you use that stimulation collar, you have the ability to tell the dog something that you virtually cannot say. Okay, so the dog doesn't understand language, of course, because dogs are nonverbal, but he understands a buzzer that you, unfortunately or fortunately, connected to it. You associate the buzzer with something that your dog should know. Like what? Buzzer equals treat, buzzer equals wrong, buzzer equals right. So now we're making assumption. All we have to do if we want to say something to the dog, like stay away from the door, we just push that button. So what the dog does after he's being shocked, of course, the first time things happen, the dog has to have a reason why he's following that buzzer and that stimulation. If the dog wouldn't care, that system wouldn't work. So the dog cares. The question is, why does he care? Because that stimulation triggers something to the dog that he wants to avoid what he's up to. So what you do is you push that button of avoidance. Now, why is it avoidant? Why would the dog avoid something? It's because it causes a discomfort. What is the discomfort? And now everything goes quiet. Well, it doesn't really do anything to the dog. My question is, then why do you use that if it doesn't do anything to the dog anyway? It's because it does something to your dog. Now let's look at what it does to your dog. If your dog has an adverse reaction to something that he's supposed not to do, it's because something in him tells him that what you do is dangerous. What is considered dangerous? Life. Losing your life is considered dangerous. So if I use any stimulation that triggers the dog to avoidance, the first instinct that kicks in the dog's mind and body is fear of your life. Right? So we have action and behaviors the dog does because of thriving and surviving, and things that a dog avoids is because of fear of death. These are the two extremes. I know it sounds extreme, but down bottom, why do you need money? Why are you afraid of being sick? Why are you afraid of being alone? Because something in you tells you that if not, you're going to end up being alone. And you're going to be sad and alone, and eventually you're going to die because there's nobody there to help you. We'll have no food, no money, no insurance, nothing. You're going to die. All that in the background runs with fear of death. Back to the shock collar. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Stimulation collar. So if you push that button, the stimulation collar, the first thing that's going to happen is the dog gets a signal that triggers something in him telling him, if you continue that way, you're going to die. We say it very nicely. You will not survive. Okay? What exactly? Let's look at what does the collar sit? The collar sits on the neck. What is on the neck? On the neck, all this nervous system comes down from the brain, spreads out over the body. And people tell me, yeah, I know what you're going to tell me now. Because the skin and all this stuff, irritation and pressure points, yeah, I get it. Oh, hear me out here. Did you test it on your neck? People says, of course I test it on my neck. It doesn't do anything. It's kind of like a buzzer. Like I have these Omron things that you put on your shoulders to get your massage done. That feels even worse, right? I agree with you. But what about the dog's skin? The dog's skin is much thinner than a human skin. While our skin has 7 layers, dogs have 3. 3 layers versus 5 or 7. And what happens underneath? Very underneath the skin, let's say that layer is so thin, right underneath there are several nerves going through. There are different functions, okay? Each nerve, well, some nerves or some sensors are about movement, the skin movement, there's back and forth and right and left, okay? And some other sensors are pressure sensors, pressure, so they sense the teeth grabbing in. And some other sensors are sensory of thermosensors. Now, and there are more sensors, I don't want to go down that road. But what happens is, as soon as you give that stimulation, all those sensors get a trigger because it's a current. It basically zaps the dog in a milli current. Now what happens then? The whole body goes into a survival response, and the dog tries to avoid what he has about in mind. It's kind of like you walk on a staircase and all of a sudden you hear this cracking noise, and all of a sudden your guts come up your face because you feel like you're going to lose it. Did anybody harm you? Nobody harmed you. You felt this way. So it's not the buzzer's fault. It's your emotions that makes you feel that way. And how can the dog emotions connected to what you just did on the button? If you push that button, you trigger the dog's 4 million generations of experience. What's going to happen if somebody triggers you on your neck? You hear a noise, you do this. Why do you do that? It's a fear response. Your body automatically has that memory, avoid where it's coming from. So if your dog gets a stimulation here, it comes the message, avoid where it comes from. From where? From the bottom? The dog's neck faces usually downwards. So the dog considers that safe because food is on the floor, safety is on the floor. Where he is safety, and suddenly that is being questioned. Where your dog sits, considered safe, barks in the other direction, what's considered unsafe, and suddenly now it's blowing up in his face. What you push the trigger. What's going on in the dog's mind? What's going on in the dog's body? His body is going into survival mode. He wants to change what's happened right now because he's in fear of death. Is that what you want? Is that the goal of getting your dog's attention? Communicating remotely to your dog? Your dog should be in fear of communicating? Yes, you can condition it so the dog gets used to feeling fear of death and finally says, I get home, I feel better about it. But what if that dog lives in your family? What if the dog is smart enough to recognize every time I do this, I feel that sensation? How about I hide it? Now that I hide it, something happens that I will not be triggered. So if I don't bark, meanwhile I'm boiling inside, I'm about to burst inside out, something happens that I can extend that time, I can be focusing on that. So focusing on that, I'm not any other body response, I can hold on longer to it. And then what's going to happen, smart dog trainer, he says, oh, if the dog focuses, the moment he focuses, I push the button. Dog is smart. He says, so if I focus, I get zapped. Okay, let's unfocus. Mind my own business, like nothing happens. Let the problem comes close to me, and when it's close enough, I got it. What do we teach the dog with pushing that button? Hide your emotions. Don't let it come up. Don't deal with it until it's good enough, close enough so you can handle it. Okay? Hold that aside. Now, your dog is in the couch, laying down, has a shock collar on because the trainer told you to keep it on all the time so you control your dog what it does and communicate for him over distance. Your child comes around the corner. Hi, Daddy. Hi, Mommy. The dog jumps up. You push the button. The dog's supposed to be in sit and stay. The dog is smart. He says, wait. What happened? The child comes in. I got zapped. Shit. Okay? Put that into your mind. Every time the child steps up and I get excited, I get shocked. Okay. Oh, sorry. Did I say shocked? I'm sorry. Stimulated. Okay? Now, the dog starts associating problem equals response equals discomfort. Okay. How about I shut up? How about I do nothing? Okay. Child comes up. Nothing happens if I don't move. Right now, I'm walking on eggshells. Literally walking on eggshells because inside me I'm going to burst myself to death because if I move I'm going to die. That's what my body tells me. My mind doesn't make any sense because I don't have any logic. I don't have logic. I have memory. As a dog, only thing that I'm relying on is the memory experience that I have from the past. That's what I have. While you playing with your logic, being smart about when you push the button, the dog is remembering each individual event in detail. Who does what, why, when, in verse. He can picture the whole thing like a wide screen. All the details. How he felt, how you felt, how everybody felt. Because that's his job. You remember, he's a predator. He knows the difference between a prey and a predator. He knows where it's coming from. He saw you having your hand in your pocket. Detail. Many people get bit by dogs who were in shock collar because they had the hands in their pocket and they were strangers, because they see that this guy has a shock collar in his hands. Obviously, he's putting it in his pockets because that's what always happens. If the trainer has his hand in his pocket, he gets zapped if he does something wrong. So he attacks that person now because he feels safe. He doesn't know that person. Or your child comes around the corner, he has no clue what's happening around the corner, and all of a sudden you are not there. He has that opportunity now to attack your child. Why? Because he feels the child will trigger him, and the dog will proactively stop that from happening. I will attack it before it attacks me. And here we are having that conversation. Why? Because a child got bit by a dog. Because a person got bit by a dog. Because another dog got bit by another dog who were on shock collars. Why? Because the dog had no other option. Because he was quite down to zero. Don't talk, don't be emotional, don't do nothing, take it in until the dog cannot handle it anymore, because a shock collar doesn't teach the dog troubleshooting skills. It teaches him to shut up. And then you have people say, oh, my dog out of nowhere bit my child. Put the dog down. Out of nowhere. Well, that out of nowhere has a long way to go. And if it wasn't you, it was somebody before you who intimidated the dog every time he had that emotional expression. And he was, I almost said the wrong word, stimulated. So that stimulation causes the dog an emotional state. You know that word? Helplessness. Whatever I do, it will not work. I feel helpless expressing myself. Google the term. Don't rely on me. Don't believe me, a word that I just said. Just go online and see how was helplessness tested, that this actually exists. You're going to end up reading about shock collars. And now do the connection from that old test to the new world that we are now. And we rely on those shock collars. And now we're smart about it. We're hiding it under a very nice collar. I have a picture there in the very beginning. So if you look at that, what you see here is multiple nice collars. Oh my God, it's kind of like Easter eggs. And it's hidden. You don't even see it. It's really good hidden. Okay? I mean, from technology speaking, and I'm an engineer, I can do these things on my own. They're very well engineered. So much small detail is better than a phone. Some of them have GPS tracker, by the way. Great. Now you know where your dog is. And you can zap him remotely without even have a visual. Like you don't even have a drone looking at him. You can zap him whenever you want. Do you want to call him back? Just push the button. I know you tell me you never zap your dog again because you have the beeper. How do you think the beeper works? The beeper is a reminder what's going to happen if you don't. So if you hear the beep and you don't do it, you're going to die. And how many dogs go crazy if there is a beep going on? Every time you open the door from your alarm system, beep, beep, beep. What do you think is going through your dog's mind? Oh, cool, we're going out for a walk? No, his body goes like that. I know dogs who are hiding themselves because of that, because somebody pushed that button on the thermostat. On that thermostat, you know, beep, 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 it goes up and down. The dog reacted, and everybody's like, what happened? I was like, are you using a shock collar? She says, oh yeah, that happened. The dog gets scared of that noise. Now, you just use the noise, but the damage is already done. And if you not never used a shock collar, somebody did it before you while you send your dog for training, and they tell you, don't worry about it, you never zap your dog, you only use the beeper. That's not a harm. Of course not, because he did the job before you. So please, there are solutions to your problem. Shock collars are not the solution. It's a deep, deep, deep dead end. If you go down that road, you have two chances. Your dog shuts down, or you have a bigger problem. It always ends up to the dog. So whoever tells you the shock collar, professionals. Yeah, I did a course in shock collars. It's a gentle zapper, very gentle. You have no clue what it does to the dog nervous system because you haven't even studied biology. So go back to your biology, see what the nervous system does. Use the word sympathetic nervous system and Google it. Don't trust anybody, just read scientific evidence and then come back to me and talk about how gentle it is, because it's not. Thanks for watching. I know, Doc, that's what I'm saying.